Hi, welcome to the show. Welcome to this episode of Founder's Journey. And today we have Sarah Caputo on the show. Did I say the name correctly?
You did, Jeff. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Sarah, welcome to the show. And I will tell our audience how we met. A long time ago, I think it was 14 years, 13 years ago, I was over at Allstate as an Allstate agent, and you're with home office corporate. And
Yeah.
I think that's our first time we meeting each other. And then, we have just kept in touch through most basic way of LinkedIn. And then next thing you know, I'm on the independent side and you're a head of marketing for Plank.
Yeah. After
So,
Allstate. Yep.
yep. And then now that I see that you roll out your own company, so I was like, you know what? Let me catch Sarah on the show and have her come on. And I'm sure you can tell our audience about all the things that you learn from doing marketing for a Fortune 500 company that's publicly traded, and then
Hmm.
how you took that energy and experience over to Plank, which is an insurtech startup software that was recently acquired. And then you had another stint where you were, let me just make sure I have correctly, Chief Digital and Marketing Officer. And then that led you to starting your own company called Fraction Method.
Correct. You got my resume. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
We left a
So,
few years out, which I appreciate because it just ages me more than I need to be.
okay. Love, love to hear about your journey and about how you started, every single step of the way. What did you learn? And we'll give you the experience and the knowledge to move on to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say generally, starting out, I didn't actually graduate college, which is kind of a big deal, and nerve-wracking at the same time. One of very few people who don't have a degree in my industry, and typically they actually say MBA required. So really started out by working harder than anyone. I feel like hard work and dedication truly have paid off for me. And I've been given opportunities as a result of trying to stay objective and really be business forward in everything that I do. It's all about starting with the economics. So that's kind of like fundamentally what drove me to um, essentially challenge myself always and make sure that I'm always adding some sort of value. If I'm not adding value or being challenged or in a culture that I believe, is in line with my own ethics and morals, then it's not usually a fit for me. So those are the kind of the three pillars I tend to live by. And my first 8 years before Allstate, before meeting you, Jeff, were at advertising agencies, working on blue chip clients across brand and interactive marketing at the time was what it was called, but it's really more digital marketing. And that led me into opening the door at Allstate and starting on their team within the brand sector. And within Allstate, I was given a lot of different opportunities to build new capabilities across teams, whether it be IP or compliance and auditing, distribution, worked for dealer services as well as independent agents, as you well know. Um, Down the line, I ended up building capabilities for the regional marketing program. And then the last stint I actually had at Allstate was in media and analytics, running that system wide for the digital program. I was helping to in-house that program, and that really kind of catapulted me from
Can you
there.
touch a little bit more on that, just for our audience who don't understand what that means?
In terms of the digital analytics and
Yeah.
media, yeah. So essentially, there's all sorts of different programs. It's all about eyeballs and consumers, as we well know. And there's all kinds of different ways to get in front of those consumers. And sometimes they're more effective or not. It depends on the type of demographic you're going after. And that can span between billboards, traditional TV, um, mobile advertising on social media, paid search when people are searching for different services like insurance in our case. And essentially what you have to do is one, partner on the finance side to understand what business you're trying to drive in terms of the goals. And then you have to also have a benchmark in mind in terms of customer acquisition costs. So starting with that, those are the programs that I really helped to lead. And then from there would become more strategic in terms of the investment mix, partner negotiations, contracts, and then placing the actual ads themselves in partnership with all the creative teams, data science teams, and et cetera. So it's really about the goal, putting the placements where the eyeballs are, and trying to make sure that you're measuring those and iterating and making the programs more efficient over time.
Did your team also overanalyze the media buy, like, call center, transfers, returns, CPAs,
Yeah,
those type of items?
absolutely. Yeah, we'd start with that. I'd always start by auditing the program, the goal, the user experience. As marketers, we tend to kind of, I think, get lost in the business, and we tend to just go creative first. If you don't actually know what user experience you're driving, I always recommend going through the user experience. Another gap that existed was no one was actually partnering with the call center when I was joining the team. So I kind of, forged that relationship. His name was Sean O'Brien at the time. He oversaw a call center as well as life and retirement down in Texas, to learn that not only were they prioritizing outbound strategies versus the inbound leads we were driving, the economics started to really turn sideways. So very quickly, we were able to make that connection point. We were able to align with business hours when you're running call campaigns. That's super important. And avoid some of that ad waste. And we were able to turn that program around pretty quickly, just making some calls and opening up communication across the teams. So it's important to make sure you have that feedback loop from a sales perspective consistently, and you know what you're driving.
You left in July of 2018, right? Or when did you leave Allstate?
I left Allstate.
Oh, November 2020.
I was going to say, I think it was later than that because it was after
Yeah.
COVID. So I left when we were still coming out of COVID. We were working from home. Quite a bit transitioned during that time from a business perspective. On the insurance side, people were driving less, but we learned that instead of the claims kind of lessening at that time, they actually increased overall, less frequency, but higher severity, because the speed and rate of speed of which people were driving at that time was kind of a increased severity alongside OEM changes to vehicles and how that impacted claims rates. Total losses occur much more frequently now due to the technology in vehicles. So that double whammy actually really affected us on the marketing side, in terms of trying to understand what business was most helpful to drive down losses, but increase the users or insureds in our case. So that was quite a volatile time in terms of the industry in general.
Yeah, I think we're still recovering from it.
4 years
Like,
later.
there's so many changes that insurance carrier made reactionary to COVID, and now that the world kind of seems back to the same, but they are still recovering from the decision they made during that time period.
Right. I remember
So
Tom Wilson initially going out with giving everyone savings back with the assumption. It was a good assumption. I mean, why would you assume severity was going to go up? It was an unknown, but yeah, they gave insureds back premiums because they were driving less and they were worried about losing policyholders at the time. But in fact, that was possibly an overreaction and affected the economics on the Allstate end, at least for those following months due to the situation. So
yeah, pretty much everybody in the industry was reactioning to each other.
yeah.
So what made you lead to head of marketing to Plank? Like, what made you say, hey, there's the opportunity over here? How'd you find them? Who reached out to who?
So they reached out to me through a recruiter. Still keep in contact with him. He's really, really fantastic. He's more of a business coach than he is anything. I really appreciated him throughout the process and since then. But overall, ultimately, there were two things that led me to that decision. One, consistent layoffs at Allstate. not to disparage, but this happens quite frequently when you need to right size numbers for the board, shareholders, and ultimately the quickest way to do that is to cut headcount on overhead. So they were in expense control and going through several rounds that were difficult. As a result, my team that I had under me were really nervous, and they were the more marketable folks. The digital media analytics brains are the marketable employees. So they did not have a hard time leaving, and that left me in a position where I was trying to keep morale up and turnover down. It was very, very difficult. Plus, as a single mom, I was a little concerned for my own longevity at Allstate. Learned after and while I was leaving during my resignation that I actually survived the second round of layoffs, but ultimately it still left me in an uncomfortable position where I needed a little bit more security. But the second piece might even be more important. My goal had been to bolster my career across brand, media, analytics, creative, all the functions of what a chief marketing and digital officer oversee. And the only way for me to get that experience was to start with a smaller enterprise first, build those end-to-end capabilities that I had built several times before across multiple teams, and to get that experience on my resume to ultimately continue to grow as someone who's strategically overseeing the business and not just one team, one department. Really feel strongly in business first, as I've mentioned 15 times. And that's where kind of my product, customer experience, and finance hats kind of come on from a marketing perspective. That was super instrumental, that role, in getting me there. This last piece was that specific to that company, they were a bridge from insurance, but more in the software and SaaS side of the house. So they are a cognitive data and analytics platform built on AI and machine learning methods, strong product. And that brought me into another sector using insurance as a bridge. So strategically, from a career perspective, not only was it end to end, but it bridged me over into SaaS and technology, which is where I've remained since.
What was that experience like? So one thing I'm curious, like maybe you can elaborate more on it. Doing marketing for insurance is boring. It's not like you are marketing a new shoe that's being dropped or you're marketing a new car that's coming out, right? Insurance is like as boring as it gets because you're selling air. And then, you go on to selling software, which is like another air, right? So what's that whole experience like, trying to make marketing, draw attention to a brand that's a startup?
I mean, as a nerd, I find insurance fascinating a little bit because of all the underwriting and modeling and statistics that actually go into it. It's a very, very difficult product to write. So I like the challenge. The second piece is it's very necessary. Unfortunately, with like state regulations and the political climate, it's gotten a bit difficult for insurance companies to try and operate the ways they need to. We see that with Florida, we see that with California quite a bit. So I think the blend of those pieces in terms of the necessity and how important it is, as well as the back end complexity, really kind of drove a significant challenge. I'd argue pharma seems more boring, by the way. And I really appreciated the challenge and what it taught me. Additionally, I think that when something's not tangible, it's harder to measure. So it's really gotten me more experience more quickly. My velocity, my learning curve was very, very steep because it's difficult to measure a product that's not only purchased offline from less is direct to consumer online in Allstate's world, and more is driven through the agent distribution. So there's all these layers of complexity when it comes to measuring and understanding success and how you actually take those multi-million-dollar investments and spread them across different strategies. So that actually is what drove me to Plank. It was a lot of that data and analytics and underwriting and what are we doing for the commercial sector. but blending that with a product that was supposed to help transform the industry and add efficiencies and effectiveness to a very cumbersome process that's antiquated. So I liked the challenge. I liked learning about AI, machine learning, deep learning, large language models, and all the things that went into it from a personal perspective.
What did you see during the time that made you decide, you know what, I'm gonna do another run this time around. I want to launch my own brand with fraction method. Thank you for watching this video. Now a quick message from our sponsor, Mav.
Thanks, Jeff. I want to let you all in on a secret that top producing agencies don't want you to know about. If you're in P&C insurance, you know firsthand how much you're getting squeezed by your call center. It's becoming less predictable and less economically profitable to scale. But here's the thing. The top producing agencies making over $100 million are not running their leads through a human-based call center. They're running them through an AI expert like Mav to qualify, quote, and hand deliver the highest intent qualified leads to your agents. Mav takes care of the back and forth, having unlimited 24/7 conversations with your leads that are personal and relevant so you can scale to the moon. Ready to ditch your call center and 10x your agency? We're giving the listeners of insurtech $15,000 worth of credit to try Mav. Head to hiremav.com/insurtech to claim this offer.
I definitely learned when I moved from Plank at the point where they were really kind of starting to stabilize to an exit, which they successfully did, which was happy to see for them, to a role where I was Chief Digital and Marketing Officer for more industries. Strategically, first, I joined an agency and oversaw all the services, creative, SEO, technology, media analytics, so on and so forth, and helped productize, but across multiple clients. And the client sectors were fintech. Obviously, there's a transferable skill set there between B2B and software. And then secondarily, consumer brands, which I had experience with Allstate and my earlier agency days, and then the travel and tourism sector. So when I was able to repeat my success, not to brag or sound conceited, but to repeat the success for strategically driving other companies, businesses and programs forward in very quick ways. Like I'm known as an integrated strategist, essentially, based on my personality test that I took. And I was thinking to myself, well, I've done this quite a bit and I'm not feeling as challenged anymore. I want to be on that leading edge of technology and what it can drive. So I opened Fraction Method to continue to do the go-to-market and integrated, strategy, media analytics work with some clients to not lose that edge, but to open myself up to other opportunities more rooted in actual AI and machine learning technology, like a lot of what Plank did and gave me the taste for from a product perspective. I really believe strongly, again, in user value and a good product being like the first piece of, like, if that box is checked, then I'm and if we can make money off of it, then great. And it's a good culture, right? So I started to, through Fraction Method, partner with an investments firm now. So my time has opened up to allow me to look at the curation of technology within their portfolio specific to marketers, and help advise them on the different technology. But additionally, what that's done is it's given me the opportunity to go under the hood, kick the tires, and put that hat on. And I'm actually working on a third initiative now. And hopefully that's gonna, that proof of concept as a founder of that new company is going to play out, but it's also rooted in these types of goals that I have for myself. So opening myself up to allow for more challenge and to be extremely technology and analytics forward is my ultimate goal. I do not want my back against the wall. Again, I just still don't have a degree in marketing. And I want to be the person that's constantly learning. And the only way to do that is to surround yourself with people that are super smart, smarter than you, to listen to them and what they have to say, and also to constantly kind of like go after that. Like, it's not going to come to me. I have to seek that out.
This might be a personal opinion of mine, but I don't think degree or marketing make a difference anymore.
I agree to a degree, yes. Pun intended.
Like the world is moving so fast, and what they teach you in school is not catching up to how the real world is moving today. I mean, if you look at some of the best brand telling stories, some best storytelling, just people, pulling on their cell phone, do a TikTok video, and being authentic about their product and driving eyeballs, right? If you look at David Portnoy on Barstool,
Yeah.
that's like against anything that anybody ever learned in school, and is one of the most successful story of brand telling.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So what's interesting, fraction method, I think, as you continue to grow your company, I can see you scaling this company, bring on additional Sarahs under your wings, because there are so many people retiring in the next 4 to 5 years in corporate American insurance world and insurance software world, that there's a real need. And insurance companies are bad at storytelling their own stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you there. I think also the amount of resources it takes to do the work we're doing is lessening due to the use of and availability of technology. So it's a matter of guiding companies on the right stack and maturity roadmap. A skill set that I have and I'm focused on, again, with technology, because if you can't figure out the foundational of data usage and technology, then I think you're going to be dead in the water. For the most part. I mean, it's a little bit of a strong statement, but I'm already seeing that with some of the tools and technology, making time, my time more valuable. It's spending it in more strategic areas, advising on, again, strategy, data strategy, technology stacks. And I think between retirement age, I don't know that we're going to replace all those roles. And I want to make sure I'm offering a service that's not traditional. That's again, more on the forward side of things, where I think companies and brands should all be paying the most attention to. And I don't see anyone marketing that quite yet. I do see holdcos as agencies starting to pivot and own their own technology more and more and more. And they're also acquiring market share consistently. So there's kind of a lot happening in the marketing industry in general, where not only the retirement age that you're talking about, but also just with the availability of tech, that this evolution is starting to occur already. So,
Okay. So let's just say we are a mom and pop regional carrier or mutual carrier. Personal line or commercial line. We'll leave that out. And we'll listen to this podcast. How does engagement look like with Sarah when you pick up a client? I mean, what do you look for? What do you look through first on their marketing that help you figure out if you can help them or not?
yeah, I think whether I can personally help them from, I'm actually onboarded as part of their team. I will always try to help, advise, and make a connection point where it makes sense. But what I start with are contracts. If you don't actually have the right relationships and operating model in place, so it's a blend of those two things, you're again dead in the water. So the foundation of any marketing program is knowing how you're scaling, how you're growing, and that exists on a regional level. It's the same it does. It's on an enterprise level. It doesn't actually matter. The concept's still the same. You have to know where your sales and revenue is being driven so that you can replicate, and also so for scale, but also to try to make that more efficient and optimize over time. So if you don't have the right operating model, whether it be in-house or outsourcing or a hybrid, maybe you're hiring in talent you don't actually need, that's going to hurt your operational costs, which is going to affect things on the back end and profitability. Or you have contracts for tooling you don't need, or contracts that aren't advantageous. So that's usually the easiest way to, I'd say, cut the fat and inefficiencies and waste out of operating model, that directly upfront contributes to profitability. So I can quickly audit and say, you know what, this probably doesn't make the most sense, or you know what, you don't need this hire, or maybe you need this hire instead, or you're overpaying this person or company or agency. There's a lot of waste that can be found very, very quickly on that bottom layer. And then from there, that's when I would get into, do you have the right mix? Do you have the right product? Do you have the right customer experience? If the product and pricing is wrong, or customer experience is crap on the back end, or you don't have the right sales talk path, product marketing materials once they're through, then why are you going to run marketing on the front end? So that's the second place I'll go, is to kind of go through that user experience and understand what's converting and not converting, and what roadblocks may exist that might need to be fixed before marketing can jump in. You might be throwing dollars away on the front end if there's like actually sales or price problem on the back end, as an example. And then the third level would be kind of just taking a program, evolving it, optimizing it, and getting really smart with your data and analytics and technology use. Usually that's last, if they have cleanup that needs to be done at the bottom level, like I mentioned.
Ooh, very well said. I feel like we just came through an interview or something.
Am I hired for your team, Jeff?
That was pretty good.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I'll take it on a Tuesday.
Where would you find your potential customers? I mean, are you on LinkedIn? Are you going to the insurance conference? Thank you for all your support to our channel. Here is a quick word from our sponsor. Please click on the link below in the comment section to sign up for a demo with Track AI.
What if your insurance sales conversations could work harder for you? Meet Track, your AI-powered conversation intelligence partner. Track automatically captures and analyzes every customer interaction, providing instant call summaries, risk analysis, and AI-driven coaching insights. Say goodbye to manual note-taking and hello to more selling time. Track handles the admin work while you handle the revenue. Fully integrated with your favorite platforms. Plus, get custom AI analysis tailored to your unique business needs. Transform your sales team's performance with Track. Visit track.ai today.
Click the link in the description below to schedule a demo with Track today.
Yeah, I'm industry agnostic, and I've personally not been doing a great job of my own marketing. So I don't practice what I preach. I think that I need to be doing a better job. I have all these thoughts and ideas, but then I don't. So shame on me for that. You do a great job of your marketing, by the way, and keeping up. Like today is as an example of that. So kudos to you. A lot of everything that's been coming through has been through my LinkedIn. They are finding me. I do have a full profile of information. So people are finding me organically, inbound, and then referrals. People that have worked with me before that know I'm available, they're coming or referring me to other people. So I haven't had to do any outbound, knock on wood, yet. I've just been writing that, and it's been keeping me busy. And like I said, I've in the middle of a couple new things here, so we'll see how those play out, and then I'll pivot based on what the market tells me.
Nice. Well, if you are listening to this episode and you like what Sarah have said, make sure you go to LinkedIn and follow her.
Oh, that's really kind of you.
Sarah, if we touch base, follow up with each other a year from now, 9 months from now, what do you see yourself growing into?
I really hope to be curating technology for companies. And that's what I'm starting to do. So that's my goal, is to do what I described in that kind of like 3-level process. Make sure that I'm helping people become more efficient, and from an industry perspective, highlighting where there's a lot of waste, and frankly, I think some unethical practices happening within the marketing sector and technology sector itself. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Software companies are taking quite a bit behind the scenes in terms of the money that they're capitalizing on, and it's a passion point of mine. So I think by helping to curate that process to get fair terms on both sides is going to be a really big goal of mine. I don't want to see ad dollars going to software companies to the degree that they are. It's pretty egregious what a few of these companies are doing, and it's not transparent unless you really know what questions to ask. So it's putting downward pressure on customer acquisition costs, and it's getting directly passed to the consumer and to the rate of billions of dollars a year in terms of some of what these ad tech companies are doing. So a blend of strategically helping, but because of the fact that there's so much fat to be cut, I think, within technology and software and what the industry's been getting away with for so many years.
I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
Well said. That was well said.
Do you have a point of view on that to share, or?
Nah, I just agree with you. And if I see it every day, so if I start opening this door, then I'm start dropping names, and some of those guys are, you know, people we all know, and I'll leave them out of the room. So
Yeah. I didn't state
Um,
names, but I could. I call it the shiny objects, but once you kick the tires, it's about 95% of this, because you're a smart guy, you're very you're very data heavy. Once you start kicking the tires, you're like, there's nothing different with this product. But unless you really have the knowledge base, which you're rare, I think, in terms of having that level of sophistication, it's really easy to get caught up into promises that don't actually help drive business forward. So
yeah, I agree with you.
soapbox,
You know-
I'll stop.
If this wasn't just a regular podcast, if we're sitting around having a drink, this conversation could last another 50 minutes easy.
Oh, I could go on about that. Yeah, for sure.
Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I'm sure I'll run into you at another FinTech or InsurTech event. So looking forward to following all your LinkedIn posts next year and this year. And, for those of you, make sure you go follow Sarah. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. And I wish you the best success. It's so amazing to continue to see your operation. It was impressive when I met you, and it continues to be insanely impressive. It's not easy to build and scale what you've built and scaled. So congrats to you.